Hello everyone, hope it's going well. This is Teen Pigwin back on the Cranberry King channel. It's been a while, although I never promised there'd be a high throughput on this channel. I've mainly been racking my brain on how to start the do-it-yourself synth project. The first few bits were easy because I'd already been planning out for a while, but for the next few parts I clearly have a few more things to learn. Along with a few supplying issues, I got really caught up on trying to work on a MIDI to CV converter, and I was having a hard time finding more of a simpler analog approach, as to oppose what some other people are using, which is utilizing Arduino. Not that I have anything against Arduino, I just didn't really want to tackle an Arduino project yet. Fortunately for myself, I re-examined my Behringer Poly-D. It turns out it does have a CV out in Vtrig, thus making it a pretty overpowered MIDI keyboard. So for my first module, I actually did want to work on an envelope generator. I found a pretty understandable schematic from Look Mum No Computer that I wanted to use. And this was with the idea that I thought I had an oscillator I could use with it to test it out right away. It's this little thing here. This is from, I believe, a Wish.com oscillator do-it-yourself kit. I think it's labeled as a function generator. So yeah, it can make signal, but there's no like CV in, which being a newcomer to this is kind of an easy mistake to make. Now, I actually had most of the parts to make this envelope generator. The one thing that seemed to be holding me up was stripboard. But after I got the stripboard, I realized I wouldn't be able to test out the envelope generator until I was able to use an oscillator with a CV in. It happened to be that Look Mum No Computer had another design for a simple oscillator, but it had IC chips that I just didn't have on hand. So I went to the web looking for alternatives with IC chips I already had, and I just so happened to have these LM324N chips that could work out. And with some more research on the web, I found out that people are trying to utilize the manufacturer notes to make oscillators. Now, I know a little bit about these manufacturing notes. They're very useful for trying to dissect the functionality of IC chips, and they've already basically done all this rigorous testing and figured out these circuits that you can use, so they're very useful. Also useful for telling the functions of the pins on the IC chips as well. I've actually studied these before when I was trying to do some stuff with PT2399 chips. So if we go down to about page 13 or so, it starts getting into the possible functionality of this chip. So we can go through the various applications. They've got nice circuit diagrams. So these chips, they are quad operational amplifiers. So usually these diagrams are only utilizing 3 legs of the chip. So you can expand out the functionality of the IC chip and do multiple functions through the same chip, as far as I can understand. So down here, this is what caught my eye, figure 27, just a square wave oscillator, because I'm not trying to get really fancy. I just want something that makes an oscillation. And as far as I can understand, I can control the voltage coming in that should affect the oscillation that's coming out. So I finally got at least a prototype of the oscillator here that actually works. So right now I have it hooked up to my Behringer Poly-D. Out in the back here there is a pitch output, so it should just be a CV output. And it turns out that I don't even need to have my oscillator plugged in because this provides the voltage, the whole system. So let's turn this on here. So not exactly the pitches matching to the keys, but it's nice to get some sort of sound out of it. It could definitely work for me. Well, after finding out that that spec sheet actually had a design for a VCO, I went ahead and did that. So I've got hooked up to my Behringer Poly-D again, and I'll show you some of the sounds. Though what's weird is that it seems to go down in pitch when I go up in CV. That was the square wave. Now here's the triangle wave. Well, this is a bit of a time skip again. I've just finished drilling out a new plate for my module, and I'm ready to start mounting some components. Now, I've really been working on this secondhand for the past couple of weeks, just trying to get to work a little bit better and see what I can do or figure out. But ultimately, I think in the future, I'll probably make a much better oscillator and probably use someone else's design. but it was a fun experience trying to do this from scratch from the manufacturer's notes. So now I'll go populate it. So now I've got the plate populated, I'm actually feeling pretty good about it. You know, everything is rugged, knobs feel good. I want to use more of, I don't know what you'd call them, these bigger knobs you see, but they're actually overlapping on the side here, so how to use these smaller, crappier ones. But it's nice to get use out of them. Of course, I got a spot for the diode. I'll explain that later, but I got a nice green swamp LED. So it'll be fun to put this together. So I've just finished up the soldering. I didn't take pictures this time because I was just trying to get done. I think it looks pretty good so far. And I guess we'll have to see how it sounds. Well, I've finally gotten the oscillator into a usable state. It's a little bit goofy, but at least it makes sound. So we got power coming to it. I've connected the LED to the voltage. It does seem to drop in pitch when the voltage goes up, so I'm not sure if that's intentional. So right now I got a triangle wave outputting, and I have an attenuator on here. Make it quieter if I want to. I also hooked up some tone. It's not quite working for me like I want to right now. You hear a little bit of a difference. So I can take this out and I can plug into my square wave, which is actually kind of quiet. So for this next test, I'm going to plug it back into the triangle wave. Get balanced on there. I haven't screwed it in yet because I haven't decided where I want to put it. So I got the pitch output on my Behringer Poly D, and I'm going to plug it into my CV in. So now it's going to be a control voltage in. Start it up. So I can sort of play some notes from over here. But of course it does sound a little funky. I suppose I could adjust it with the coarse tuner a bit. But usually you need it all the way up or else it doesn't make that much of a difference between the notes. And now with this I can also, record some sort of sequence. Play that for you guys. So yeah, it's getting some interesting sounds out of it, and I'll definitely need to work on it some more. Well, that concludes my work so far on the do-it-yourself oscillator from scratch. As you could probably tell throughout this video, my hair and beard have significantly grown. It's because I've been working on this on and off for the past month and a half. I spent about 2 days just troubleshooting the module once I had it all soldered onto the strip board. So it definitely seemed like a bigger project than I could chew. But that was fine. I feel like putting myself out there and trying to do this really helped me understand a lot of things that are going on in these circuits and realize the differences between synth electronics and guitar electronics. So, of course, please let me know what you think of the synth. Me personally, I don't think it really came out that well. I mean, it makes sounds and I could probably utilize it somehow, but the tuning's just so wonky and obviously it needs more work. But regardless, I'm extremely happy that it does work, and I'm happy that I can move on from this project. On to another synth module, of course. So I'd like to thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next module. I think it's likely going to be an envelope generator.